Ash, the commander-in-chief, making his preference clear, saying he'd rather make a deal with Iran to stop the killing, but the devil's in the details. A possible breakthrough involves the Strait of Hormuz reopening as Tehran works with Oman on a route to open the key shipping route. Trey Yingst joins us now from Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey.
Yeah, hey, Todd, good morning. The Middle East is waiting to see if a deal can be reached on the Strait of Hormuz to avoid a return to conflict. The president spoke last night from Las Vegas about the Iranian regime.
We'll knock the hell out of it. I'd rather make a deal because I don't want to kill people. I do not want to kill people. But at some point, we were set for the biggest attack of any attack, and we've hit them very hard for the last few months.
Reports do indicate that progress in talks between Iran and Oman aimed at opening the strait, led in part by Gulf allies urging the president not to strike.
I can say that the latest situation is that almost all of the topics are under discussion. The map, the transit routes, the entering and exiting the maritime traffic, and those bilateral side agreements with Oman.
Amid the possibility of a return to conflict with Iran if an agreement isn't reached, President Trump posted a Truth Social overnight about reports the United States is running out of air defense interceptors. The president said, in part, the U.S. has massive amounts of munitions, especially of certain types. He goes on to say, additionally, large amounts are being manufactured and shipped to the U.S. as needed. Defense companies are building the largest number of plants and factories in our country's history. We know the United States continues to supply Israel with air defense systems and interceptors needed to deal with Iranian missiles.
And I want to make it clear, President Trump is our great friend, the greatest friend we had in the White House, I mean to say. And the United States, it is our great ally, and everyone understands this as well. We greatly appreciate our joint efforts with the United States against Iran's nuclear ambitions. But I also wish to convey, the existence of Israel is not up for negotiation, with an agreement or without an agreement.
While coordination continues between Israel and the United States, the IDF says 2 of their soldiers were killed yesterday in an IED blast in southern Lebanon, that IED planted by Hezbollah. Todd?
Trey Yingst live for us in Tel Aviv. Trey, thank you. With that, let us bring in senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, Rebeccah Heinrichs. And Rebeccah, let's talk about the deal. To me, this seems like MOU Part 2. Why should we think that this time would be any different?
I don't think that we should. And President Trump has recently said that the Iranians are duplicitous, they're liars, they do not keep their word. And he said this in the context of when a reporter was asking the president, you say that the United States is in negotiations with the Iranians, but the Iranians continue to say publicly that they're not. And President Trump rightly pointed out that the Iranians lie. And because of that, we cannot trust any deal that they even purportedly agree to. And to your point, what we know about the details of this current deal are very similar, if not identical, to the MOU, which failed because the Iranians never abided by it and continued to fire on into the Strait of Hormuz. J.D. Vance expected to actually represent the U.S. at a possible signing, and he says the biggest challenge is navigating who's running Iran. Listen.
I can certainly understand the American people are maybe looking at this and they say, well, it seems like we're making progress and then it seems like we're not. Well, the reality, Laura, is that number one, the Iranians are extraordinarily difficult people. Number two, they have a fractured system. So there are people within their system who want the war to be over. There are also people within their system who are crazy radicals who want the war to continue. Our job is to navigate through that and get the best outcome for the American people, but for the President of the United States as well.
Rebeccah, there's a story in the New York Post this morning that when Iran's president, the civilian leader, went to go meet with the supreme leader, he was shoved into a dark car. The windows were blacked out. And so he wasn't even sure who he was meeting with. They kept it quick. He didn't shake hands. It was odd. So how the heck can we, the United States, be clear who we're negotiating with if that's how they treat their intra-party leadership? It makes no sense to me, Rebeccah.
No, it doesn't. And you can tell who is in charge by who is the one whose ideas are being carried out. And that's Vahidi, who's the head of the IRGC. And so the IRGC is the group that is firing into the Strait, firing at Americans who are based in these Middle Eastern countries throughout the region. So it doesn't matter if the negotiators really do want to make a deal. If the negotiators are letting Vahidi fire at Americans, then Vahidi is effectively in charge. So we just heard from the vice president in that clip, and I think that he gives a great case for why the United States should not be pursuing diplomacy at this point with the Iranians, and why President Trump is right to surge U.S. forces into the region and to do what Admiral Cooper has said he's prepared to do, which is further degrade the Iranians' ability to carry out violence against the United States and its allies in the region. And I think that we're going to have to do that in order for the United States to take control of the Strait of Hormuz and get traffic flowing once again.